Hi, my name is Randy Bernatti. I work with AMEC and we provide the environmental services on the Parkway. My team works with the Parkway group to look after all of the environmental aspects of this large project, including species at risk, the fisheries, all the erosion and sediment control, vegetation management, drainage, etc. When the job started, our team got involved very early on to evaluate all the environmental impacts of the project, to look at what could be done to make sure the project stays compliant with all regulations and laws and meets our agreements with the federal and provincial governments. Those include things like I mentioned, fisheries, species at risk, vegetation, natural heritage issues, all various environmental aspects need to be considered through the whole process. This is done through a fairly complex review of information, development of a number of management plans that are then implemented by construction to make sure we're compliant through the process of construction. In total, we have a team that ranges from 5 to 15 people on the job at any given time. The largest part of that team has been the team related to the species at risk, the snakes and plant team that spend a good portion of the summer scouring the site, identifying locations of species at risk, and relocating those plants outside the right-of-way to areas for restoration where they'll be permanently located after the job. As well, with the snakes, we're constantly monitoring to make sure snakes don't find a way back into their right-of-way and potentially be impacted by construction. That's an ongoing job that will continue through construction until 2014. The rest of the team we have is involved on the other side of environmental, which is with the erosion sediment control and managing the day-to-day operations to make sure compliance with the project. Some of the key work that we look after is, of course, maintaining drainage off our site through construction. We obviously have a very large site that's exposed, a large area of earth that creates a lot of erosion and sediment. That has to be maintained to ensure it doesn't run off onto private property, into water courses, storm sewers, etc. So through that, we're constantly monitoring construction, looking at changes in progression of construction, and ensuring proper controls are in place, such as silt fence we've seen lots of, I'm sure, on site, rock check dams, and sediment traps to maintain all that water, clean it up, and release it off our site in a clean state. That's obviously the changing daily process that we look at and work with construction to maintain. Yeah, so we have 2 construction monitors that spend full-time on site looking at all the environmental aspects during construction. They work very closely with the team on site every day, identifying issues such as drainage, vegetation protection, hazardous chemical storage, fuel storage, that kind of stuff. Make sure we are compliant with all the laws. We also have, unfortunately, spills occurring from ruptured hydraulic lines on all the equipment on site that need to be remediated and cleaned up according with all the provincial laws. That happens as well. This team identifies these spills with our construction personnel, coordinates the cleanup, and makes sure we're compliant with that process. They're also looking at, of course, the water courses, that they do daily monitoring of all the water courses on the site, making sure conditions are safe for the water courses, the no releases of sediment, and also that fish passage is maintained. One thing people that don't know about this area is the diversity of fish species in the drains that cross the right-of-way. We've come across key sports fish such as largemouth bass and northern pike on the site, and these fish move through our right-of-way every spring for spawning upstream. We make sure that they have access through the right-of-way to get upstream and make sure they can get through safely as they need to. So that those monitors are constantly monitoring the streams, make sure those fish have that ability to get through. We also look after air quality issues. A lot of equipment on site, it needs to be properly maintained to make sure the air quality related to construction is maintained in accordance with our requirements. We watch for equipment that could be requiring maintenance, identify that to the construction team, as well as to make sure we don't have much equipment in one location that could be resulting in concentration of poor emissions. Also, noise is a factor we watch on site, as well as waste management, disposal of garbage. All those factors are daily monitored to make sure we continue to keep the site as clean as possible and again compliant with all the laws. The other aspect of my team that we look after on the Parkway is training all site personnel to be compliant with the laws, both the species at risk requirements and general environmental. So my team provides a training presentation to all workers that goes to detail of those issues. Species at Risk talks about the requirements under the law to identify and protect the species on site, as well as adjacent to the site, and make sure all workers know if they encounter these species, who to contact and how to manage that species. We also go through a detailed training on general environmental. Again, as I mentioned earlier, waste management, fisheries, drainage, all these topics are discussed, spill management, etc., to make sure all the workers are assisting in the process, because with this large job, we need a larger team involved to help out to make sure everything's being met. And this is all communicated to every worker on site, and then continually updated on site with workers through tailgate meetings, weekly meetings, monthly meetings, and annual meetings. And my team assists in that process to make sure workers are all notified and aware of these issues.